the people that can help you get connected with anything that you need in your business. So again, welcome to the city of Minnetonka. Thank you.
Thank you, Julie. And again, my name is Steve Quello, and I work on behalf of the Edward Lowe Foundation here, helping to deliver the economic gardening program. And what I'd like to do is acknowledge those that make this all possible, the county partners and some of the corporate partners that contribute both cash and in kind that make the scholarships available for our participants. I want to start with Patrick Conoy with the Hennepin County, and Ellen Mueller with City of St. Paul, I think she's here. And the Edward Lowe Foundation, we have a sort of special guest. Penny Lewandowski lives and works in Michigan on behalf of the Edward Lowe Foundation, and happens to be here for this and other meetings. So I want to just give her a shout out and thank her for all that the foundation does and what her contribution to the program. And as the participants, if you get a chance, just greet her and thank her and share what you've learned and what the experience has been, so she can take that back to the foundation and continue to improve the program. And one special acknowledgement, there's a fellow here who was really a visionary and saw where this could go, and was provided part of the seed money through the WIB, and that's Larry Blackstead. And if you could just sort of acknowledge, we wouldn't be here today if he and the WIB hadn't put together the team of community partners that saw fit to serve second stage CEOs. So with that, we do have to acknowledge our corporate partners. We have for years had Insperity be a great partner in terms of providing our refreshments as well as content. In fact, Joe and his team have spoken to several of our roundtable groups providing just-in-time knowledge regarding issues. For example, the last few days we've talked about employment law, a moving target for most CEOs. So thank you, Joe, for that. So Joe, if you could just say a word or two about the program.
Do I need a microphone?
No. Oh, Joe, we are on tape.
So the answer is yes, you need a microphone. All right, good morning. Boy, wasn't that a beautiful sunrise this morning? Man, that red. I can't wait to see more sunlight in the morning. I'm tired of driving into work dark. But we're really happy to be here. Thank you, Steve. Thank you for your foresight, sir. The opportunity to put together these programs is an honor for Insperity, something we really do believe in helping businesses be successful so that communities can prosper. That's the whole mission of our organization, and we do that through controlling compliance, cost controls, risk management, to helping you work on your business versus in it, especially with human resource issues. So whenever we can, we'd love to sit down and just sit and chat and see if there's some ways that we can help you. But this program's been outstanding, and it's one that we're very proud to be a part of, and will continue to be so, Steve. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Joe. Before we get to our featured speaker, the reason we're here, I always like to call out, and this is where everyone duck if you don't want to talk, but one of our members that is involved with the program, the roundtable, the research, and the forums, and I saw Brian earlier, and Brian is not a shy man, and I'd get his attention. If you could stand and just share a word or two about your experience, and this is impromptu, but for those that aren't in the program that might want to know what it's like, and for those that are supporting the program, what the benefit has been so far as you've been trying to grow your business.
I've talked to Steve before about why I don't want him calling me not a place of great comfort for me. But as a business owner, I like to express my gratitude for those of you who are the visionaries and people who are behind this, because it is this right time where it seems like every time we get together as a group, there's something that's presented through the material, through the text, through the case studies that seems to be immediately relevant, either from 2 weeks prior or the 2 weeks upcoming, which I don't know it's coming. And I was talking to someone this morning about how I can't imagine where I'd be today if it wasn't for the last 4 months. It has really changed not only my mindset as a business leader, but how I'm engaging our employees and attacking our vision. I just can't imagine what it'd be like without this. I've seen so much change in our company and in me as a leader. And I just would like to encourage anybody who's considering it to don't hesitate, because I think it's an amazing program, but even more than that, just the way that Steve runs it. I've been as impressed with how he's done this work as I am with the cohort itself, because for someone like Steve to work with these CEOs who aren't really that accustomed to being handled all the time, but for him to handle you and direct you, to force you into some of the deeper issues, is transformative in and of itself. So Steve's a critical part to this success. I just love how you're handling that. So thank you, thank you, thank you.
All right. So, unexpected payback. Thank you, Brian. But it really, he's immersed and grabbed the reins and really taken every ounce of what the program offers and applied it. And so I thought he might have something to say. So with that, we go on to our reason for being here today, and we have a leader that's done what we want to do and beyond. And the idea of what Vicki's done is really beyond the comprehension of second stage CEOs. So we're going to try to have her talk about what it's like to grow, scale, and prosper, and then what are some of the things that we could do in our businesses where we're at our stage that might help us on that path. So let me give you a little bit of background, and then we'll give her the floor. Proto Labs is the world's fastest provider of CNC machined and molded parts, and she mentioned this morning also of custom 3D printed parts. And I think there would be a lot of interest in this group about that. So look forward to her talk. Prior to joining Proto Labs, Ms. Holt served as president and CEO of Spartech Corporation and senior VP at PPG Industries. She holds a BS degree in chemistry from Duke University and an MBA from Pace. Her story of growth and scaling businesses is something that we all need to hear. So with that, Vicki, thank you for joining us.
Okay, let me make sure, is my mic on? Yep, okay, you can hear it. Okay, well, it's great to be here. I love telling the story of Proto Labs, and what I'm going to share with you is the story of Proto Labs that started really far while before I got here. I've only really been with the company since 2014, and I'm taking it to the next level. But before I start, I'd like to kind of get a little bit of feeling for the audience here. How many people are in, first, how many people know who Proto Labs is? Oh, okay, so about half of you, so good. I'll do a little bit of introduction, bring you up to speed on the company and the story. How many people are involved in a company that's growing at double-digit rates? Okay, quite a few, okay. So it's fun to grow a company at double-digit rates, but it does have its share of challenges. And just by background, Proto Labs is growing at about 25% per year. And as you grow at 25% per year, the bigger you get, the harder that even gets. So we just closed and announced our 2015 results recently, and we had sales of $265 million in revenue in 2015. We have to grow 25% on top of that, which means we need to get toward about $340 million in revenue in 2016. So the kind of company we create every year, we kind of look back and, wow, that was as big as Proto Labs was back in 2010, and we have to create that whole new company all over again to create that kind of growth. So it brings its own set of challenges. They're fun challenges, they're fun problems. We're going to talk a little bit about that today. Also, I've been asked to talk about building the foundation of growth from the point of view of people. And I'm a firm believer that a company, its strength is in some of its strategies and technologies, but the real power of a company is in the people. And it's the culture you create and how you bring those people together to execute on a strategy and create that kind of community. That's what makes a company successful. And as you grow, you have to consciously work on that. And we'll talk a little bit about that and how culture and people play in growth. I'd like it to be as interactive as we can. So if, as I'm speaking even, somebody has a question, I'd be happy to answer them. But I know we'll have time for questions at the end because I don't have that much content to move through. So I really would like to hear what you have to say so I can respond to some of the things that you've got in your mind with this topic. So a little bit about Proto Labs. It is an exciting company. We are the leader in what I call digital manufacturing. So our business model is one which takes technology, information technology and software, and we combine that with hardware to be able to manufacture custom injection molded, CNC machined, or 3D printed parts in as little as a day. And we do that by being able to really automate the front end of an engineering process that traditional manufacturers have to do one-off with each part. We do a lot of that work with software. So it's resulted in high growth based on proprietary technology and, frankly, exceptional financial performance. This is a company that's not only growing top line at 25% per year, but a company that maintains an operating earnings of about 25% plus. So real strong earnings profile as well, with the differentiation we've created with the technology and the business model. So a little bit about the story, and I think part of the reason why we're so successful, our founder, Larry Lucas, brilliant man, is an inventor. He is our customer in a way. And so he was developing a printer back in the 90s, a business which he later sold to Hewlett Packard. But while he was inventing that printer, he was incredibly frustrated because it would take him months to get custom injection molded parts to build his printer. And so after he sold that business to Hewlett Packard, he said, by gosh, I'm going to solve this problem for every developer that's out there that's trying to bring ideas to concept to commercialization so we can get custom parts to be able to bring their products to market. And that's where he invented first Proto Mold. And he started it with software. And it started out being what he called simple parts really fast, because our software was actually fairly simple at that time. We couldn't make a wide variety of parts. Now you fast forward now 16 years into the future, and we actually make very, very complex injection molded CNC and now 3D printed parts very fast, because we continue to develop the software and constantly add to what we're capable of doing to deliver more value to our customers. So we now have 6 manufacturing sites around the world. We've got 3 sites actually here in the Minneapolis-St. Paul area where we were founded. So in Maple Plain, we have our world headquarters. We also have our R&D facility in Maple Plain, call it ProtoWorks. And then in the Plymouth area, we have a plant where we manufacture our CNC machined tooling for injection molding, and then sample parts. And then we also manufacture CNC machine parts there. And then in Rosemount, we make additional parts off of that tooling. Raleigh, North Carolina, we make 3D printed parts for all of North America. In Telford, UK, we manufacture parts for Europe. We just recently acquired a 3D printing company in Munich, Germany, where we've got 2 sites there that do 3D printing, and then we're in Japan. We're not really in Asia, we're in Japan. So that's where we are around the world. We went public in February of 2012. Very successful IPO, and we're now traded on the New York Stock Exchange. We like to think we are the world's largest producer of custom parts. The picture you see there is our Plymouth plant where we do CNC machining. And we really churn out the parts. Every single one of those machines produces a unique custom part. Yeah.
Are all your parts industrial parts or consumer parts?
Primarily industrial. Our customer is the product development engineer. So we do business with the Fortune 50, all the way down to the entrepreneur who's starting his own business. We like to think we democratize the purchase of parts, but they tend to be industrial parts. We really don't market much to the consumer at all.
And are your 3D printing machines your machines, or do you outsource those?
Yeah, the machines we buy, we don't make the equipment. We make parts. So we use 3D Systems machines, we use Concept Laser machines, EOS machines. Don't use any Stratasys, although we know Stratasys machines quite well. But we really focus, we do stereolithography, selective laser sintering, and direct metal laser sintering, which are really focused more on the industrial customer as opposed to the consumer. So we serve product development engineers who have a need to get their concepts to market quickly. We are entirely web-based. We're one of the few B2B companies that are 100% e-commerce. And we have to be that way because our whole business model, I mentioned we're a digital manufacturer, our whole business model relies on that 3D CAD digital thread, which is uploaded over the internet. And then our software virtually manufactures that part in a matter of minutes and sends back an interactive quote to the customer, which they can change parameters. They get valuable design for manufacturability feedback. And then, foop, it goes right back to us through our software, which programs it through tool pathing, G-code into the machines. And it's all done automatically, and it's scheduled automatically. And we turn around a part in as little as a day. So we have to start with that digital thread. So being an e-commerce business is really important to us because we start with that upload. We've got a lot of almost tailwinds that are in our advantage here that this customer really desires what we deliver. A couple of them are the fact that there's more and more design work being done with 3D CAD. The old-fashioned way of using 2D drawings is really moving out, and you're seeing a lot of development go straight from 3D CAD all the way through to simulation and production without even getting on a 2D drawing anymore. That's enabling our model. The need for speed. Businesses need speed. The competitive advantage of innovation is getting your product to market quickly and cost effectively, and we help them get to market much lower cost. Yeah.
Vicki, could you expand a little bit more on the entrepreneurs, the ability to do a small order?
Mm-hmm.
Will that ever change, and what is like a minimum order size
Mm-hmm.
to be able to prototype something?
Great. So I love the question. I'll repeat it. The question is, how do entrepreneurs interface with us, and what's the minimum order size, and will that ever change? And like I said, we democratize the purchase of a part. You can buy one. We will sell you one of a custom part that you would upload onto our site. If it's injection molded tooling, where our samples are anywhere from 50 to 500 off of a tool. You can come back and you can order 500 more. You can order, if all you need is 402, we'll sell you 402. So we're an on-demand manufacturer of injection molded parts. If you only want 2010, we'll sell you 2010. You don't need to buy more than you need. And actually our costs, because we've digitized that front end of the process, the cost to our customers, if they're buying 10,000 parts or less, is actually the lowest cost of ownership compared to going out and buying a big steel tool in China, and the tooling costs is so much higher because of all that front-end engineering that has to happen on each part, and we've automated that front-end engineering. So we're actually very, very cost-effective in low-volume production.
What does your customer base look like in terms of that low-volume production versus high?
So the question is, what does our customer base look like in terms of low-volume production versus high-volume? A vast, vast, vast majority of our customers buy 500 parts or less, so low volume, and we've got thousands of customers. So we serviced in 2015, we serviced about 42,000 individual product developers and about 8,000 different customer companies that we did business with, ranging from companies like Tesla and Emerson and 3M and Medtronic, all the way down to, and I know you guys are entrepreneurs, so don't take this derogatory, but we call them Fred in the sheds. But the people that are out there, and we love them. We love Fred. But the people that are out there inventing their product in their garage, and they can upload, and they get the same service that a development engineer at 3M would get. So we democratize. No. We love Fred in the Shed because Fred in the Shed might be the next one that becomes the next Tesla or the next drone manufacturer. Really big in drones. The drones guys love us. So we do a lot of stuff for drones. But that's where innovation is important. So we will always do business that way. Oops. So as I mentioned, we've got 3 services that we offer our customers. We offer, and that's because when you look at what a development engineers need throughout the development process, they often just need a concept part. So a 3D printed part might be perfect for that. Or they might need a machined part because they'd like it in the exact material or metal that they want to do business with. Or they might want it as an injection molded part where they might want a specific engineering thermoplastic that they would want. We even do metal injection molding and magnesium injection molding as well. And you can see you can part 1 to 50 in 3D printed, go up to about 200 sometimes in machined parts, but generally it'll be 5 to 10 of a part. And then for injection molding, anywhere from 25 to 10,000 parts. And I mentioned what's so unique about us. And by the way, for you that are entrepreneurs, the other observation that I've got about how Larry was so successful in this business is he really understood the customer, and he understood what it is about us that makes us unique, and stayed what we call true to that core. And what does that mean for us? We say that everything we do has to be automated with software. It has to be scalable, because we get thousands of customers who upload onto our website, and we have to be able to respond to them very quickly. And it has to fit in our web-based front end. So I'll talk a little bit about how we grow, but we will not add another service, even if our customers are begging us. Proto Labs, if you could just do this for me, that would make me so happy. And some of these might be really big customers who might do $1 million plus with us, and they'll say, I really need you to do this, Proto Labs. We'll say, thank you. We'll consider that, but I'm not going to offer that service until it's automated, scalable, fits into the web-based front end. Because if I compromise that core, I'm not going to be able to service all of the customers with the value proposition that's so important to them, and that is every time they call us, if they want a custom part tomorrow, or if they want these 10 parts tomorrow, 10 custom parts, by the way, or 50 custom parts, we can do it. And that's because everything's automated. If we started doing one-offs, we wouldn't be able to deliver on that value prop. So we stay very true to that core. And so it starts with our quoting. So our software analyzes that CAD, turns around an interactive quote, very differentiated. And then that automation, that digital thread, goes all the way through our tool pathing and our engineering, so that when it gets to a machine, that's all done automatically by the software. A person might look at it to double check things, but the software even automates, gives that engineer or that designer tools to take that look at that CAD and the tool pathing and do it very quickly. The software directs them so they can move stuff through very fast. We process thousands of quotes a day, so we've got to really be able to move stuff through quickly. And then it even flows right to our plant floor, where the automation goes all the way through. We're constantly scheduling. Our software will take a part that you might upload today at 10 o'clock, and you might want it shipped by 7 tonight. A CNC machine part will do same day. And so the software, that happens and you firm up that quote, our software will automatically put it above other things so it gets out today. So that's part of what our automation does. Yeah.
So you must be spending a lot of time orientating your customer to your technology.
Great question. So Jim's question is, we must spend a lot of time orienting our customer to our capability. And that is absolutely true. We have a really strong sales and marketing engine, but the role that our sales engine plays is to help the customer understand how to use us, because we're a little bit different. Our development engineer customer is used to working one-on-one with a design engineer at a traditional injection molder or a traditional CNC machine shop. They're not used to working over the internet. They're not used to sending files back and forth. So we have an inside sales force. I kind of call them my secret weapon because they're really, really good, this team of people, and they help the customer with questions that they may have interfacing with us over the web, because we are so different. I hope that we fast forward 10 years from now and we'll have a community of engineers that are a lot more comfortable doing business over the internet like this, but this is different. I will say the average age of our customers is only 32. We know that development engineers probably have a lot higher average age, but it's the young ones that are coming out of school that are very comfortable doing business over the internet that tend to skew our data a little bit lower. So we like to think that we start with concept, go all the way through to low volume production. We don't do high volume production at all. We don't want to be there. That's not our core. Sometimes customers will buy hundreds of thousands of parts from us off of a single tool, but that would be only if they're doing bridge tooling and they're expecting to get a tool later and it just either the tool broke or it hasn't come in yet and they need to get to market fast. But the real value we bring is that speed and the reliability, which allows companies, when they really learn how to use us, they'll embed us into their product development life cycle. And we can take months out of the time it takes to take a product to market. And any of you who do research and development, you probably do if you're entrepreneurs, you know that time is money. If you can take a project and take it from 18 months down to 10 months, you can save hundreds of thousands of dollars. And when you look at that across big corporations, they can save millions of dollars in R&D by being able to do things faster and iterate faster. So we have a very large total available market in front of us. We've kind of tried to estimate what that available market is by taking a look at public data, by doing some extrapolations on the amount of R&D and prototyping that's done. So we really tried to focus on prototyping and low volume production. But as we looked at that total size of the market in the regions where we operate, with the types of services we have, we've estimated at $7 billion. Now, we might be off by $1 billion plus or minus, but the bottom line is it's big. It's a big market. So that's where, frankly, Larry Lucas and Brad Cleveland, my predecessors, said, wow, okay, this is the total available market. Let's set our eyes on that market and what we need to do to be able to build that kind of growth engine. And that's what the company went public with in 2012. So this work done on the total available market was done in 2012. Yeah.
Can a customer get molds made through you?
Mm-hmm. We make the molds, correct. The question is, can customers get molds made? We make all of our own tooling. So we do that all ourselves. A lot of our tooling is out of aluminum. We do some steel tooling as well, but we make all the molds. And then we retain those molds for the customer, so if they come back for parts, we've got them.
When somebody goes into a high volume production and you don't do that, so they get to buy the molds from you?
No. So a little bit about that. So if a customer wants to own the tooling we produce for them, we'll give them the paperwork so they can own it and capitalize it. If they insist on saying, I want you to deliver the mold to me, we can do that. You won't be able to use it in any other machine. Because we have reinvented, not only have we automated and digitized injection molding, we have reinvented injection molding. We've reinvented the process. So the way Larry and the team started Proto Mold is they literally went into this little building with process engineers, electrical engineers, mechanical engineers, and software engineers. And they tore down an injection molding machine and built it back up and automated it with software. And they tested everything. Any of you know about injection molding? One of the things Larry tested was, can I get by without ejector pins? Molds apart? Nope. Got to have ejector pins. He spent 2 days trying to get this plastic part out of this mold. But he questioned everything about traditional injection molding to try to get to a point where he could have this cost-effective, economical model for producing low-volume production with injection molding. And it's a true invention. And by the way, that innovation continues. We've continued to reinvent ways that things are machined and injection molded with some really great innovation. So we have 3 growth vectors that are driving this 25% per year growth rate. By far the biggest one is getting more customers in. Believe it or not, I mean, raise the hand, about half of you knew who Proto Labs was. It's probably because we're here in the Twin Cities. When we did this is the second year now we've done aided and unaided brand awareness. And even here in North America, which is where we have our highest sales, our unaided brand awareness, and this is where we ask somebody, who do you know out there that does prototypes and low volume production? Our unaided brand awareness is only 7%. And our aided brand awareness, that's when we read you a list of all these companies that produce prototypes and low volume production. Our aided brand awareness is only 39%. So there's a lot of people out there that don't know. And you know, as companies, people who want to get to consumers, you need unaided brand awareness. You need top of mind awareness. And we're only 7%. So by far the biggest opportunity we have is to continue to bring more customers into the fold, which for us is our marketing engine. A lot of that is internet marketing, but we use a lot of other media and content and marketing automation tools to try to bring customers in. I will never surf the internet the same way again in my life, because I'll tell you, you go out there and you Google anything that has to do with prototypes, injection molding, CNC machining, we will be following you on your computer for a long, long time. We will pop up no matter what you look at. You'll see a little Proto Lab pop-up ad. So we are constantly trying to get brand awareness out there. And that's a science and a big investment. And then we use marketing automation software in order to tailor any other kind of drip campaigns and nurturing campaigns once you come into the fold. And then our sales engine kicks in. But the other thing we do is we broaden our envelope. So I mentioned we started off, Larry, in 2000 with simple parts really fast. We now do a lot of kinds of parts, and we do that by broadening the envelope, but we will not do that until we've automated it, it's scalable, and it fits into our web-based front end. So anybody who, again, knows injection molding might know a process called overmolding. Think about a toothbrush, where you have an elastomeric type rubbery product on the outside and maybe a polycarbonate or polypropylene inside the toothbrush. It's called overmolding. Our customers have been begging us for overmolding for years. Now, we've been working now for about 14 months. We are going to begin soft launching that this next month because we had to automate that whole process of being able to upload 2 CAD on our website, associate the 2 CAD together, all the way through this automated process, and then injection molding them together. It was not an easy problem, to say the least. So we're now launching that, and it will be automated, it will be scalable, and it will be fitting into the web-based front end. It's going to be a big market for us, but we don't add those envelope expansions until we can be true to our core. And then the other is adding processes. Mentioned the 3D printing process that we added. That was via an acquisition. A lot of thought went into that. So when you think about expansions of your offering to your customer base, first, we knew that our customer loved 3D printing. So we interviewed our customers. 70% of our customers used 3D printing as well as CNC machining or injection molding in their development process. So that was a share of the wallet that we were not capturing. And it was also a share of wallet that's very early in the development cycle. We'd like to get those customers earlier. Plus, by the way, 3D printing pretty sexy these days, so it gets us customers. So we decided we wanted to get into 3D printing. The company spent quite a bit of time thinking about, do we do this organically? We'd never done an acquisition before. Everything we had done had been organic. Or do we do an acquisition? We looked across the array of 3D printing service bureaus that were out there, and we found a service bureau that was culturally a really good fit for us. The company was called Fineline. They were in Raleigh, North Carolina. They were also entirely e-commerce web-based. They were not customer compelled. They were true to their core, which is high quality 3D printed parts reliably with speed, with fast quoting over the internet. I mean, it fit perfectly. And the people fit perfectly with the kind of culture we have. I'll talk about that in just a minute.
They were Duke graduates, weren't they?
Actually, a lot of Carolina guys. They weren't all Dukies, a lot of Carolina guys. So we ended up acquiring this 3D printing company in Raleigh. Great move, great strategic move. We could have done it organically, but what this acquisition did is it propelled us forward probably 3 years faster than what it would have taken us to build this on our own. And it was a fantastic fit. When we bought the company, it had $10 million in trailing 12-month revenue. That was in April of 2014. So 2015, which is the first full year we own them, we grew that 10 million trailing 12 to $24 million, more than doubled their sales by the cross-selling that took place with our customer base. Very smart move. So you can see the steady growth in development engineers that we've got. So in general, we're growing and adding about 20% development engineers each year, and those development engineers are purchasing a little bit more every year. So that's how we get our 5% per year growth. And here you can see the, and actually That is true. I didn't update this. I gave this presentation in January before we reported our earnings, so I had to put just our third quarter estimate in for what our fourth quarter was going to be. We actually hit that. We came in at $264 million in revenue in 2015. That's a 26% year-over-year growth. In constant currency, it would have been about a 31% increase. So we got hit a little bit with the euro and the pound, but so really strong growth, and you can see the average over those years. So really, really exciting. Now we're going to start talking about the challenges that brings. Let me double check my time here. Okay, we're good. So to grow like that, you need people. And so I just wanted to give you guys a little bit of a feeling for the people we've added. Now, I joined the company in February of 2014. When I joined, we had 750 people. The number you see there is year-end 2014. And then where we are today, we've got almost 1,600 team members around the world. So to do that and maintain true to our core and the culture and what makes us who we are, takes a lot of work. And for me, when I say what are my priorities as CEO of a company, it is that culture. It's keeping this the place that's just so incredibly wonderful to work, but allows us to continue to keep that development engineer center and allows us to continue to delight them every day with custom injection molded CNC machine and 3D printed parts in as little as a day. And that's, having that environment is really important to us, and I'll talk a little bit about that. But that's really challenging. You'll see a lot of them are COGS. We're a manufacturer. So it's funny, I look at companies that we sometimes get lumped into with peer groups, and a lot of them are software companies. I kind of think, how many are manufacturers in this room? I love manufacturing. Manufacturing is cool. But manufacturing, it takes people to manufacture too. So it's not like I'm selling licenses on seats of software and growing at 25% per year. Growing at 25% per year, George knows this very well, you grow at 25% per year as a manufacturer, I need floor space, I need machines, I need people in order to generate more and more parts every single month. And so it's a challenge. We now have a full-time facilities director who's looking at our facilities around the world to make sure that we're anticipating when we need floor space and we can add it in time. But we also have to really do a good job on how we position ourselves for growth with our people. So I talk about culture. And for us, like a lot of people, we have a set of core values. And those core values are really just words. For us, it's trust, teamwork, and achievement. Pretty simple. But we talk a lot about what the behaviors are that are around those words. And my leadership team, we actively work that a lot with our team members to make sure they know what it means to be part of Proto Labs in an environment. We really care about each other. We really care that each individual person that joins our team is able to achieve what they want to achieve in their careers, as well as their family life, and they have the right balance, and we give them the tools to achieve all of that. And by the same time, we're a culture of achievement, where we just go get it done for our customers. We don't like to waste a lot of time with bureaucracy and hierarchy. Harder and harder to do the bigger you get, but we like to just go get it done. So how do we put some process in place? You get to 1,600 employees, you need a little bit of process, or otherwise you're just not going to make it work. But do it in a way that's consistent with our culture, which is non-hierarchical. It's let's just go get it done. We're a team. We trust each other, but we're going to get the achievements done. We talk a lot about that. One of the other things that's happened with growth that, and it's tied in part to culture, is when the company was $50 million in revenue, it was a lot easier for Larry Lucas, our founder, and Brad Cleveland, the CEO, to have a lot of decisions come up to them, and they kind of directed what was done. You start getting to $300 million in revenue, and the global nature of the business and the scope, you've got to be able to build leaders that are going to help you drive the culture that you want to have, as well as develop additional employees, onboard those employees, all in the way that you want to work. So we actually have been very, very proactive on this. Any person who has any leadership role over other people in Proto Labs has now gone through a 2-day leadership training, management training piece of work. And it's a very interactive, customized piece of work. It starts with really knowing our company. Some of these people, you look at how many people we've added, a lot of these people didn't know all the Larry Lucas stories. They haven't been here for all these years. We want them to understand who we are. So we spend time making sure they understand our business, they understand what is core to us, they understand what our strategy is. So know your business really well. And I don't care whether you're a supervisor over a set of customer service reps, or a supervisor over a shift in CNC machining, or a lead over sales rep. You need to know our business and who we are, what our values are, where we're going. Everybody needs to know that, especially somebody who's coaching other people. Then we also give them training on knowing their role. A lot of people, since we've grown so fast, they've grown from individual contributor roles to now they're leading groups of people. That's very different. What is that role all about? What's expected of me as a leader? And so we give them the tools to do that. And then the third piece are the tools we give them to help them coach people, mentor people, help have those difficult conversations or personal conversations that they might not have felt comfortable with, but they need to know who the people are and what their people's goals are and how we can help them be successful. And so that's the role you play as a leader. We had to build those skills because a lot of people didn't have those skills. They'd never been managers before. Larry was hiring people one-on-one, and they've grown with the company, and now we've put them leading a team of 30 people. So we quickly did that. Tied to that is performance management kind of processes. Now, we're trying not to be bureaucratic. I hate bureaucracy. I've been with big companies a lot of time in my career, and I curse the bureaucracy. So we're trying to make it simple. But there has to be some way that we can have conversations with our employees about what their goals are and how they're doing versus their goals and how we can help them get where they need to be. So we do have a performance management process. As you get bigger, you've got to start putting some structure in place. And we've tied to that also work on talent acquisition. This is a really tough one. This is a very big issue for certain skills as well. Software engineers are by far the most difficult. I don't know how many here are out there trying to hire software engineers. It's very, 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 very competitive. There's not enough of them anywhere. We've even debated, should we go to another city to try to tap some different talent? But as we've looked at different cities, it's a problem all over the United States. Denver, Chicago, everybody's got problems finding development engineers. Anybody who's got kids, tell them to go into coding. Code, because we need code. So that's a big issue for us. And the other one for us, believe it or not, are mold techs. And this is a pretty, you might say, well, injection molding's been around for years. Why are mold techs so hard? Well, the number of changeovers and products, because we're a low volume production, we use many, many more mold techs per revenue dollar than a traditional injection molder. And as we go to a lot of the tech schools in the area, Hennepin, Dunwoody, we'd have to hire 100% of their graduating class in mold techs to get enough mold techs that we need to grow. So we actually have had to bring in house some training ourselves so we can actually build that. It's a 2-year course that our employees can sign up for that we host, and we work with community colleges to help us with those courses. But we need to build our own because I can't get it, can't find it. So that's a challenge. And then tying that talent acquisition to metrics, looking at our turnover rates. We really want to hire the right people, and we don't want to lose them. So how are we doing with that? How do we get better on interviewing? How do we really good at talent acquisition? Because in the end, as I mentioned in the beginning, it's all about the people. Your success is based upon how successful you are in engaging your team, getting that right team, and getting them all working in the same way. Assimilating them and retaining them. I wanted to share with you one of my favorite quotes from Jack Welch, and that is why it's so important to train your managers. When you talk about attracting and retaining talent, people don't leave a company, they leave their manager. So if you don't have really good leadership, you're at risk. And when small companies start, they don't really think about that much. They think about, I need somebody who's going to do this particular technical role, but eventually, as you continue to grow, you've got to build leadership in your organization. And that becomes important also for succession. And we're at a point first of all, as a CEO of a public company, one of my jobs is to make sure my board of directors has successors to me on the bench. That's one of my jobs. I take it very, very seriously. One of the worst things companies can do, public companies, is not give their board an opportunity to take a look at somebody inside versus having to go outside for a CEO. It's always more risky to go outside. It's always better if you can groom somebody inside as a successor. So you've got to do that, but then as you look at all the other roles in the company too, you've got to think ahead at where you might be vulnerable. You know, another thing about Proto Labs, it was a very successful IPO. There are a lot of people in the company who don't have to work anymore. Now they're working still. It's a lot of the real early guys who were, employee number 6 or employee number 7 and got stock really early and then went through the IPO. They're still working, but I have to understand where I'm vulnerable. That's a very important thing to have a conversation about, and then think about where I am vulnerable. What am I doing to be ready with what's going to happen behind that? So we're doing that very consciously as an organization at various levels. So with my leadership team, we understand where the vulnerabilities are, what the timelines is, who we think might want to leave in a year, 1 to 3, 3+, and then what would be the plan behind those people, and then actual action plans. If there's somebody that I think might be able to do the role, but really needs to be able to do something first before they can do that role, all right, how do I make that happen? How do I move things around so that at the end we've got slates of leaders that are going to be able to move up in the organization? And that's got to be done very, very consciously. So I think it's important. It is a process. It's a process that is continual because it's tied to development plans, but it's also a process that I think helps you retain employees because they're joining a growing company where they can achieve their career objectives because you're there to help them grow into the leadership teams in which they aspire, but it also continues to prepare yourself for the growth. You've got to be out there driving that growth. Okay, I think that was my last slide before I open it up for questions, but it's all of these they're fun problems to have, but they are still challenges that you've got to be able to address overtly, go after them. Yeah.
So it sounds like your biggest issue is finding software engineers and the people to come in to continue to grow at 25%. The schools aren't churning them out. How are you going to?
Yeah. So the question is, it seems like some of the biggest challenge we have is finding the talent that we need to grow, software engineers being one of them. If the schools aren't turning them out, how are we going to find them? The schools turn them out, we just have to compete for them. So I almost put in this one slide that one of the guys that drives some of our recruiting had in the Twin Cities. There are, I'm going to forget the numbers. There's like 870 recs out there for a certain type of software engineer, and the number of people applying is like 200. So the number of recs for .NET software engineers, which are your web-based software engineers, is just totally out of whack. There's like 4 times. So you have to compete for those people. You have to create a great place to work and a compelling place to work to bring them. Now, the Twin Cities does have some people that want to stay here. So some of your software engineers, they don't all want to go to California. Some of them do want to stay in the Twin Cities. And to be able to provide a fun environment where they can achieve their objectives, be part of a team, make a difference, I think is really important. We bring in interns every summer in our software team, and almost all of them, because they're usually pretty good ones we bring in, before we send them back to school, they've got an offer in their hands. Then we bring them back over the Christmas break to make sure they remember how much fun it is here. And so we work those interns really, really hard and make sure that they know how important they are to us. They interface with the leadership team. We work hard on that.
Questions, so whoever has a question, just flag me and I'll bring it over.
Okay.
So you have facilities in the UK and Munich. Have you considered sourcing developers overseas?
The question, yeah, so you heard the question this time. I don't need to repeat it. Yes, we have a development team in each region of the world. So we have software developers here in the Twin Cities. We have some in Raleigh, and we're building out that team as well. We have a software team in the UK. We have several software engineers that we acquired with an acquisition we did in Munich, and we're going to build on that team because Munich is a great city that's got a lot of good universities churning out software engineers, and we have a couple in Japan. So we are doing that in each of our regions. We're building out, and by the way, that is a global, we call it global technical services, and we leverage all of those resources globally. So my team in the UK actually might be working in a project that we might first be launching in the United States. So it doesn't necessarily have to be only working on projects within that region.
Could you describe your marketing and sales approach to grow at the 25% rate?
Yeah. So this is a big question. So we talked a little about the marketing approach. What we're doing there is we're trying to bring in prospects and high quality prospects. And so we've actually been able, we have big data to the max. We've got 3 data scientists that work a lot within our sales and marketing data in order to help optimize how that spend takes place with prospects moving through to sales. So we know we use Pardot, which is our marketing automation tool, we understand where each of these prospects is coming from, and we understand the conversion rates from where the prospect comes from to when it uploads a part to when it closes as a customer, and we really try to focus on high quality lead generation to make sure we're driving those conversion rates. And then we also use data to really drive the nurturing campaigns to those. So our data helps us understand, is this a medical device customer? Is this a company that might be into aerospace or lighting? And we tailor our communications so that when you're a medical device developer and you're reading about what we do in injection molding or our white papers, you're getting something that's relevant for you. And we actually see our close rates jump up about 8% when we can give you content that's relevant. So those are the kinds of things we're doing all the time with our drip campaigns. Then when the prospects come in, we've got several ways that we drive sales. One is what we call our sales development group, which takes prospects that are with companies that have never done business with us before and works to get those closed. And we talked before about how we're a little bit different in terms of doing business. So if you've never done business before, as an engineer, they're not a very trusting group. You know, they're pretty skeptical engineers. And to get them to believe that I'm going to upload my CAD to this website and you're going to turn around a part in 3 days? No way can you do that. And so to get them to believe and actually buy from us so we have lead generation and sales development engineers work on that, and then our account reps, account managers, and strategic account managers then go from there, and they'll be working with customer companies where we at least have one contact that we can begin going wide and deep. And once we're in a company and we get one person who's done business with us, we can get colleague referrals and begin going wide and deep. They come from people who Google and want to know where can I get a custom injection point, so the internet. They come from colleague referrals. They come from trade shows. They come from publications. So we've got about 10, 12 different categories of where they come from. Some come as a response to a direct mail, so they'll come from different places. And then we feed them through this nurturing engine, and we're constantly following these prospects through to try to move them to close. And lots of data. Each of our salespeople has a dashboard where they understand what their own close rate is, how many phone calls are they making, how much connection time do they have in a day, and how are they driving close rate by service, how many prospects, how many uploaders are they getting, and how many are they closing. They get that every single day. Yeah.
Are your sales and marketing people engineers as well, or are they real traditional salespeople?
Most are pretty traditional salespeople. We do have a cadre of customer service engineers, and these engineers are there as a resource for our salespeople who are technically strong enough to be dangerous, but if it really gets technical, they need to pull in a CSE, or customer service engineer, to help them with the customer. So we've got both. Over time, our strategic account managers, many of them who have been with us for 5, 6, 7 years, are pretty technical, but they will even have to pull in customer service engineers from time to time.
Are you familiar with the book Starting with Why?
Excuse me?
Starting with Why? Starting with
Is
why?
that, is that pink? Is that?
No.
No. Mm-mm.
The point is, you explain what you do and how you do it very well.
Mm-hmm.
He always says the core issue is why do you do it? What's the why behind all of this?
Mm-hmm. Yep. So the why is we've got this this development engineer at the center of our universe, and we truly believe that by reliably providing that engineer with custom parts very, very quickly and fairly high quality, we can bring tremendous value by taking months and millions of dollars out of the development life cycle. If we compromise our core, we will compromise that speed and reliability, because we'll be doing a lot of one-offs and things won't flow the way they flow right now. I had a customer a couple weeks ago that I was with, and there were a couple engineers around the table, and they were talking about a big project they've got coming up, and he said, I've got 41 tools. Are you going to be able to handle 41 injection molding tools? And we said, sure. And the guy next to him, he says, no, Bill, we don't have 41, we have 48. And we just laughed. Sure. You know, we do hundreds of injection mold tools every single week. Thousands in a month. In a single month, on average, and this is growing at 25% a year, but we'll make 1,500 custom injection mold tooling. A traditional tool maker might make 1,000 in a year, and that's a large tool maker. So the volume and the scale of what we move through makes us a destination for engineers to be able to get their project done, because they know we can get it done. And we're always adding capacity in advance of our growth, because I always want to be able to drop in that quick turn that customer needs. If they need it really quickly, I've got to be able to drop it in. So I'm always ahead on capacity. I never go over 80% capacity utilization.
We have time for 2 more questions, so I'm going to start here with Ellen.
Vicki, I have a question around cybersecurity. I would imagine if I'm an entrepreneur and I have this, IP, and I'm asking you to test my idea, I need to have confidence in your security system. So maybe you could talk a little bit about that.
That is a really good question. We take our cybersecurity very, very, very seriously. We are an ITAR facility. We handle a lot of NASA and defense-related parts. And we have just literally, we're deploying code as we speak to add another layer of security on all of our parts that encrypts everything going back to you on your quote. And it's going to require a little extra work on our customer's part because of how we send the quote back to them, but it's going to make it much, much more difficult for anybody to hack in and get those custom parts. So we take that very, very, very seriously. Part of the reason why our model, a couple reasons why we're not on the cloud, although I continue to ask the question about that, because managing our own cluster is very expensive, but we have our own cluster, we do our own computing, and in part it's about protecting all of this data. It's also about speed. So we feel that by doing concurrent calculations of all of the calculation have to do to produce a part, and doing it right at our sites, we can do it faster. But part of it's also security. So we take that very, very seriously. We have a cybersecurity security team now, and we have twice a year reports to the board on what we're doing. We track anything that might be coming in so we understand if we're getting pinged. And we've got a whole strategy around the layers that people would have to go through. We try to catch them at the outermost layer before they come in, and all those kinds of things. We take it very, very seriously.
We wrap. Well, that was good
All right,
timing.
thank you very much.
Vicki, thank you for. All right, so as a topic, I mean, we're talking about a magnitude difference in scale, but those that have been participating in the roundtables and research, you're hearing some of the same themes about getting the core values right, building the leadership within, scaling the culture, because that's going to drive your ability to scale the business. So different business, different magnitude in terms of employee and revenue and all, but same issues that we wrestle with every day. So thank you for that. Before we close, the roundtable group that meets Friday, we'll reconvene across the hall in our normal room in about 10 minutes. You're welcome to stay and mingle and network here for a few minutes. And Vicki, are you able to stay and answer a few minutes? And I wanted to recognize Twyla Kennedy with the SBDC. If you just note that she's here, they have a new program, or a program that's coming on its next class year, the emerging, emerging leaders. And so there's a lot of parallel to what we do in terms of economic gardening and second stage. And in fact, we've had graduates of her program come into our program, and in turn, graduates of our program go to hers, and they get value in both. And so there's some parallels. But the application process is in play and closes March 9th. So with that, thank you. Go forth and prosper, and appreciate everyone's contribution.